That's your brother, right?
Like almost on the back.
Well, usually I like to say whatever you see it to be is what it is. That's how I like to picture art. But when I did this painting here, it was more like, just to put it in clear terms, how the white man really tried to overtake the continent of Africa, instill their ideas and their ways of life and just everything. So that's why the flag is there, because the flag once was brightly colored, new, strong, but now it's worn, torn, dirty. And to me, that symbolizes the ways and views that were like forced upon the whole continent. Basically, it's like going away. It's dying out. It's not as strong. And even though all of that fell on the continent and the people there, the continent, as you can see, the colors are still bright. It's still all put together. It's not worn. The land still has the gold. It still has the shape. It still has the foundation. It's very strong despite. Mostly from my imagination, honestly. Yeah. My thoughts or ideas come randomly. I don't really put thought into it. Most of the time when I paint, I don't know what it's gonna look like until I'm done.
So I write my dreams down. So I kind of start from there. I don't know how I remember my dreams, but I just do. So I kind of add pieces to my dream. So if I have a dream, I wake up and then I add something else to it, and I save previous drawn art. I never throw my art away. I kind of just put them together. And really what I start out doing is drawing, and then I add color last. So for me, the colors, it just depends on the emotion of the piece. If I have a piece that's expressing a lot of sadness or grief, I'll use darker colors. But lately, I've been just in a very happy, joyful, expressing mood, so I'll choose all types of colors: red, orange, yellow, pink. As you can see, my art consists of a variety of different colors and shapes. So, really, what inspires my artwork are my daily life, my family around me, the daily emotions that I go through, and anything that inspires me to be a better person overall.
This painting's behind me. Most of my inspiration for art just comes from the natural world. I'm a realist painter. What that means is just everything I paint is not supernatural. Everything I paint has matter. It has a hold in reality. So people, animals, portraits mainly these days, but they were just inspired from just trying to capture human emotion, trying to capture what those people are feeling, like frustration or joy or pain. And I always allow the viewers to kind of represent what they see in them. Yeah, the contemporary art scene in Nigeria too is so good. It's so good. There's a lot of artists that I drag inspiration from, because Nigeria is someone that, like you said, is very rich in culture, and I try to portray that too as well.
So that is a mini-series of a piece that I called Adolescence. And so what I really want to capture was all these times that as Black kids, we are seen, well, not a child anymore, but we are always seen as some sort of super predators. We're always something to be watched out for. The cops are always attacking us. We always have white people bothering us and pestering us about, are we supposed to even be here? Matter of fact, the one where he is in the grass and laying down, we actually got chewed out by some white woman by acting as though the public side of the road is not the public side of the road. What I really wanted to capture was that we are just humans. Humans like anybody else. Unfortunately, we don't have any sound on Alien, but a lot of it is him talking about being isolated. We made this sort of mock interview situation where he gets to sort of release on whatever sort of, annoys him and such. Just the idea that you are in a world where you cannot not fully connect because you are not fully accepted.
As a photographer, I feel like
My most therapeutic photography is landscape photography. That's like my favorite. That's where I started at. But when it comes to like these pieces, it's more of, I feel like I'm a gatekeeper of time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's my responsibility, like the universe gave me a camera to make sure that I capture certain moments and events to make sure that they're remembered appropriately. I'm just glad I went with my camera. Like, I had been part of protests that we've sat on the sidewalks in Fargo where the 200-300 people showed up. That's what I was expecting. I remember at Justice Island Park, I went up the parking ramp to like try and get a picture of what the crowd was down there. And when I got to the top of the garage and I saw like the actual size, it was the most insane thing that I had ever seen. Like, you could see that it was way more than 1,000, 2,000 people. And so on that day, I just kept switching hats. Like, I had to shout and scream, but I also had to document the moment. So I'd go from leading, being a part of the front of the protest, to stopping and making sure that I'm also documenting what was going on as well. Like, I felt like both parts were my responsibility on that day. 100%, 100%. I picked up a camera because white America continues to control the narrative. They control how our stories are told. And so if we can become adept at telling our stories, then we're the captains of our stories. We get to tell our people what happened on this day and not any other way around it. And so the reason why I have a camera, the reason why I document things the way that I do, is so that I can tell the story from our perspective. And so one day our youth can see things for what they were and what truly happened. And, you know, I'll create a legacy to where my nieces and nephews can pick up a camera and they'll know the importance of us being able to tell our own stories instead of having people tell our stories for us.
I attended the School of the Art Institute of Chicago for about a year before I had to drop out for financial reasons. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of the art world, for better and for worse. Like, I learned a lot about how to construct and how to present and how to efficiently communicate what I'm saying, but I also learned that I really have to fight to exist in spaces as someone who is marginalized, as someone who is Black, as someone who is trans and gay. Like, there's just not room made and allowances made for us to be whole beings there. Like, at most we're allowed to showcase trauma or showcase interesting experiences, but there's not enough room for our lives there, the realities of that, whatever that looks like. I made this piece after I had gotten out of college, but it stems from a lot of critiques, a lot of entering into the white cube space to submit my art for what I found were mostly a white audience. And what white audience seek to do with my work a lot of the time is disconnect it. Because if they enjoy it, they want it to be something that is theirs, that is their personal experience, that is their personal understanding. And the fact of the matter is, like, it's from me. Like, this is Black art, regardless of what I'm talking about. Like, this is Black work. If I'm talking about gay rights, I'm talking about Black gay rights. If I'm talking about trans lives, I'm talking about Black trans lives. And I grew really weary of being stripped from my work like that. It felt so dehumanizing and disenfranchising. So I built a version of me that I plop into spaces where I'm showing my work, so that way they understand and they cannot remove me from the space like you physically can't. I am here. You understand that, like, my fiber work and my digital work is not decontextualized because I will always be here. And I think there's something radical about presence in that white cube. When you exist as a person on the margins, like, there's not a space allowed for you there. There's not room for you there. And so Big Quill exists to disrupt that space, I guess is what I'm saying. He's just chilling. He's just existing, which I think, weirdly enough, angers people more. I think about my existence is when I am just resting and joyful, because I feel that, or I think they feel, that's more difficult for them to process. If they're already angry at me existing, how dare I be happy? How dare I be relaxed? How dare I take up space like this in a museum? The mask piece came as I was working through, again, in that, like, white crit space, a lot of feelings of being farmed for trauma. You know, feelings of being farmed also for my sexuality as a novelty. Like, oh, let's bring you on. Let's see what you have to say, expecting that it'll just be sexually explicit, or it will be trauma-based, or it will be nothing. And it was so infuriating to see them expect me to like walk on this leash for them and basically perform for them, dance for them, showcase, like spit on command, whatever. And it got to the point where I felt like just so angry, like I felt so suppressed that I basically the concept was wearables, so I made this mask that externally had my very submissive face on it, just a very quiet, zipper for mouth face type of thing. And then inside was this rant that I wrote like literally on the floor, scribbled onto some muslin and stitched in, that just pours from the mask. That you really can't, like I can physically put my head inside of it and you wouldn't necessarily know that it's got anything in there, but when I unzip it, like it's so clearly like loud and it's explicit and it's just very final. I've always enjoyed, like part of my goal to disrupt that white cube is to create staged environments, 3D effects. Like I don't love having my work displayed flat if there's a way to get around it. So when I display Big Quill, I like to have him highlighted. So we have the little spotlight coming in from above so that it draws the eyes down to him. And he's like sitting in a chair to try and engage people. And in non-pandemic times, I genuinely would love for people to be able to like reach out and touch him and engage with him, because I feel like that's the core of fiber art, is this like tactility, is this connection. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Sweet. I think I broke my knees. Thank you. Thank you.